Hey folks, it's Kary Oberbrunner, and I have with me a very special guest. Today we're talking about conversations with entrepreneurs. Matt Bowers, welcome.
Hey, Kary, thanks.
Awesome. Well, listen, you and I go way back, and I met you when I had a little bit of hair, not much, a little
I
bit.
just I just looked back today, or just thought about it, and 17 years ago was when our friendship started.
Wow. I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. I'm glad you looked that up. And we met at a church,
we did.
and I was with you. Do you remember that one airplane ride where we were on the same airplane by accident?
Yes,
You remember that?
I do.
Yeah. And you were one of these guys that I respected from a distance because I knew you were doing some amazing things in the business world. I obviously didn't come from the business world, but I loved meeting with you and Mark, Otto, and
Yeah,
John and all
work.
those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because I felt like I love the way you think. And so talk with us a little bit about this because business people think differently. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
yeah. I think it goes back to I grew up just in a home where I was the first entrepreneur in the family, and quite frankly, have been since age 9, roughly.
Wow.
That's where that's where like the multiple for a lot of us, multiple newspaper routes and lawn mowing businesses kicked in, and that's what really began to, I think, shape that entrepreneurial drive.
Yeah.
Having some cash right at a young age, figuring you can go out and convert that hard work and ethic into that. It's great. But since then, I've really always operated with a capitalist mindset
Yeah.
and work ethic. So,
Yeah.
my
I see that.
passion. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, I see that. I see that when you can create value even as a young kid, it's cool because as a young kid, you're always just kinda like there, you're a consumer, you're a taker as a young kid, but
Right.
here you are creating value with newspaper routes. I totally get that, so love it.
Well, then of course, you get multiple routes, then you hire others to deliver and take a percentage.
That's
It's the
good.
it's the it's the firm model.
That's right, that's right. So, I get it, you came from an entrepreneur or you were the
Yeah.
first entrepreneur, and then what happened kinda as you got older?
Well, I think looking well, I mean, I kind of stand here today with a big passion, and it was driven with what that lead what has led up to that. But my passion today is really just helping entrepreneurial leadership teams achieve greater success, and that comes because I have 25 plus years, probably a few more than that, of leadership roles, right, in both corporate as well as personally held organizations. So,
Yeah,
with that I've seen and been part of a lot of accomplishments, but I think the but in that is big because this is where the learning is, and that is I've also squared up, really directly with a lot of challenges.
yeah,
And, being an entrepreneur or being a corporate leader, it's just you struggle with things, day to day operations, things that are affected by poor organizational health, right?
yes,
Um, entrepreneurially, not loving operating a company, right, or even really what I would do every day. Sometimes you just don't like what you do.
yeah,
What are the issues, true issues, root causes behind that, and get into that. But I've been part of leadership teams, right, that
sure,
weren't aligned.
mhm,
Um, I think all of us in the entrepreneurial world, we've all, man, we've all just dug in and just delivered, you know, exponential effort, right, in hopes of, right, and
yeah,
we tend to realize a lot of times we just get, kind of minimal result or minimal profit out of that.
yeah,
And
definitely,
just in general, I mean, I've been through the times where you just feel stuck, or you just continue to kind of bang your head up against challenges, growth obstacles, because we all want to grow, right? We all want to get, grow our organizations. So,
that's right,
but
that's right, I think
these issues aren't, in a vacuum, right? I mean, these are like issues that, I mean, they attack even the best led organizations today.
it's true, I heard recently that somebody said, "I love business, the only thing I don't love is people." If it weren't for the people, I'd love business,
Right.
and what the truth is that we always have issues because I have issues, you have issues, people have issues. So the moment you take any perfect system, perfect business, and put people involved,
Right.
you're going to see some issues. So I love the fact, Matt, we'll get into what you're doing now, but I remember coming to you. I've always respected your wisdom. And so I
Thank you.
remember even when I was a pastor, I felt that it was, not the perfect fit. And so coming to you, getting your wisdom, advice, and I think you were able to help me navigate some of that. But why do you think people are drawn to you perhaps as a confidant, as somebody to talk with to get business strategies? What have you always had that ability? What do you think?
Well, I don't want to dig into me too much here, right? But I think I just try to present with a humble confidence, right?
Yeah,
Really being able to share where I can, and most importantly, just listen more.
I like that. That's good. So then you had some background then with a firm and you did marketing and this type of stuff. And then you moved into a business owner in the restaurant business. I mean, you have pretty wide background. So what I like about you is a lot of business people are theorists. They
Right.
they can talk a good game, but you've actually been in there and sweated and dug it out.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
does that add some credibility? What do you think?
Well, I think I've been referred to as a generalist a little bit, right? Kind of a CXO, right? Something that's fill in the X, I guess, right? We play
Interesting.
many roles, so
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like today's business landscape has shifted. So
mm,
you've pivoted and I love this story because you came to the Igniting Souls conference
mm,
and you had some recent success exits that you did and you were kind of thinking, where am I going to invest my time next? And
right.
share that story just about EOS and what you're doing now.
I still look, and that wasn't that long ago, and I shake my head a little bit because I really it's really a confirming factor. I feel divinely, right? I
Yes.
mean, not to derail, but you and I we were having the latest conversations we were having were all about my feeling that I felt really lacking in things like Web3,
Yeah.
metaverse, right, blockchain, and all these
Yeah.
things that are this out there today, right? And you were like, oh, hey, I've got some speakers coming into my conference. Why don't you come join? And I'm looking at the metaverse, and I'm looking
Right.
at all these 3 or 4 different speakers that I want to go to, right? So I show up the first day, and your first speaker, well, I should back this up to. I
Yeah.
had been really contemplating what I want to commit to, right?
Yeah.
Like now I've been able to think about like what do I want to do for the next 10 years, right? And EOS came in to be a big play of that because it's just fitting and
Mm.
kind of how things come together. But I show up to your conference and your first speaker, speakers, pardon me, plural. I just out of the blue, Mark O'Donnell and Kelly Knight, right? The visionary and or CEO and president or visionary and integrator from EOS. And I'm like, what? Like I was like what is that? Like that is like I was there for something, and then all of a sudden it's just the first thing hit me. I'm like, well, that seems to be. And you and I hadn't talked about the EOS thing yet, right? So you
No.
didn't really even know I was doing too much contemplation about that, and so just the fact that that was the kickoff to that was just a great confirming fact. But
Yeah.
after I exited a couple of years ago, I just really I think I committed to figure it out. I mean, I just Venn diagram and all these things and figured out that big bubble of joy that kind of connects everything. And I've just committed to doing what I love, which is scaling companies and helping others be more successful. And I see you're pulling up some EOS stuff, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
EOS is just a great platform for me to help me do that.
Let's talk about this. So if people are not familiar with EOS, it's Entrepreneur Operating System.
Right.
And Igniting Souls has run on EOS for
Right.
at least, I want to say 2, 3 years now, probably 3 years now. And so when I saw this, I had heard about EOS through Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach.
Right.
Gino Wickman is
Yeah.
one of his people. But talk about these 6 tools because they basically say that every business kind of runs on this. Where do you want to start, Matt?
Yeah, I think if you think about EOS holistically, I mean that is the model, and everything kind of evolves around that. But just knowing kind of globally, EOS is just a way of really harmonizing and, orchestrating all the moving parts of your business, right? It
Yeah.
really helps you run a better business. And I think what all of us want is, frankly, live a better life, right? And I know you're experiencing some of the EOS life yourself.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
But so we have this model, and it's simply put, we like to start this model with your business in the middle. That's where the focus of this is. And these are key components that, when strengthened, really do exactly that. They harmonize. But through discovery, we found, I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there listening today, but through discovery, we found that most entrepreneurs have, simultaneously 136 issues
Wow.
hitting them. It's like walking through a hailstorm every day. And I think some people can feel like that.
Yeah.
To the key that you can strengthen these 6 components, it really solves for, those issues, because they're merely symptoms.
Wow. That's so good.
Yeah.
So basically, in Igniting Souls, we look at our company and we say, hey, Kary's the visionary. He better have a clear vision. But they gave us this test in the beginning. I forget what it's called, but it
Organizational health, maybe, right?
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So what does that do, and why? By the way, I didn't score well in the beginning.
Most don't. It's interesting. We talk about strengthening these components, right? And these 6 components, and how we measure that, right, is a scientific yet really subjective scale of 0 to 100% strong. We want to get each one of these components to 100% strong. Is that possible? Absolutely not. That would be utopia, right? But
yeah,
our goal is to really get organizations to really become 80% strong in all 6 of these components. And what we found is most companies, to your point, are really at about 20% strong in all of these.
Wow.
And so hence you probably didn't score very well if that's the case. But it's more of it's a score to help people to understand. It's really being able to look at yourself in a mirror, right?
Yeah.
And being open and honest with yourself and willing to be vulnerable about, how do I make good change, right?
Yeah.
Productive change. So these 6 components certainly help. And we have all the kind of some tools are listed there, but if you want a high level, I can go through those if you'd like.
Yeah. Go through, start unpacking, because I want the audience, we got some people watching live now, and then this is going to go on. Right now it's on YouTube. People are watching it on LinkedIn, Twitter, and then there'll be replays. But
Great.
yeah, when people find this, what are some of those tools?
Yeah, I think at a high level, right? We'll start with vision. You have that kind of highlighted there. And, vision is simply where we'll get everyone in the organization 100% on the same page, right? And we want to start with the leadership team.
Wow.
A couple of tools to do that, but we'll stay at a high level here. But if we move to like the people component, that's kind of the second component that we address to strengthen. But simply stated, you can't achieve great vision without great people. And every organization defines great people differently. We use a couple of tools that'll just kind of help us cut through kind of all those people terms that are out there today, like top quartile, superstar, et cetera. And we'll really get down to what are great people for your unique organization.
I like that one thing. What is it called? Is it the people analyzer?
Yes. Yeah.
Where you list somebody and you say, GWC, do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have capacity? Why are those 3 things important for anyone to have?
Well,
in a role?
It really addresses the second component there. We kind of, the people analyzer, right, is a tool we use to really understand the right people. And, it's taking those core values that we established in the vision component, right? And we kind of mirror those over, because those core values, they're your core, right?
Yeah.
And those core values should be radiant from all your people, right? That's really what your culture is. And if you want your culture to be your core values, you need your people aligned with that. And so the people analyzer helps that, right? And then the GWC part of that is, get it, want it, and capacity to do the job. And, that really addresses right seats, if the people, do they get their job, right? Secondly, do they really want their job? And thirdly, do they have the capacity to do it? And that's in many ways, not just time, but do they have the mental capacity to be able to do their job? And so when
Wow.
you couple in that people analyzer, you couple those core values against the GWC, what it really does is it brings you the right people in the right seats, and you got to have both.
Love it. Love it. All right. So now let's go to the next one.
Data. Well, we jump
Data.
over to data. Yeah. Third's data. This is simply just focusing on, the right data to run your company, concrete, objective numbers, rather than just, subjective inputs or just emotional kind of ego-driven decisions that we see so often in entrepreneurial organizations. Yeah. When we put those three together, those three are kind of at the top of the circle there, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And, when the vision, people, and data component are strengthened, everything in your organization becomes transparent, right? It becomes crystal clear. There's really nowhere to hide, right? And so, along with the opportunities that you can take advantage of, that'll bubble up, right? At that point with that transparency, but, so will the impurities and the imperfections, problems, challenges, and really the issues all come right out in the open, right? And so you got to deal with them. And so that takes us to the fourth component, which is issues.
By the way,
yeah,
on that data thing really quick, even issues, it can become an issue. Once you get clear, we had this in our organization, and I'm sure, in fact, I know Jill, who helped us. You're now in the implementer. We'll talk about that in a moment, but you have certain people leave your company because you're so clear. Can you talk about that? How that actually, when you get clear, some people say, this isn't for me. And is that a bad thing?
Right. It's not a bad thing, right? I mean, if you can get everybody in your organization all rowing in the same direction, right, it's a great thing. Now, that's utopia, right? And so when you get into people, right, you mentioned it earlier, wouldn't business be great if I didn't have employees or customers, people?
Yeah, that's a quote out there. Yeah.
And ironically, right, well, the quote, right? But ironically, if you look at this model, I mean, 80% of the issues, right, that ever appear in there come from people, right? Come from the people component.
Wow.
To address your question specifically, when you look at the right people in the right seats, and really trying to ensure that you have that, you're going to run up against, a couple of different scenarios, right? The easiest one is you got a right person in the right seat. You know what? I'd figure out how to retain them in today's culture, right?
Yeah.
You're also going to have something that ought to be pretty simple, and that's the wrong person in the wrong seat, right? But I think the challenging ones are when you have, the right person in the wrong seat. The right person, fits your culture really like a glove, right? But they just don't get it, want it, or have the capacity to do their job.
Wow.
So in today's world, again, if you have the right people that fit your culture, I mean, you probably, if you 40 people in your organization or whatever it is, right, find a seat for them, right? Find the right seat because they are the right person. And a lot of times the right people for your organization, it's the toughest one to fill.
Yeah.
The other one is, wrong person in the right seat. This is the person that's out there and is just killing it, making their numbers, right?
Ooh,
Everything's great, but they're just not the right fit to your culture. I mean, every day they're just chipping away at your culture, right? And things you won't even see, but in the long run, it eats you alive.
Yeah.
So those are really the people issues that you have to
do. Okay, then you got issues and what? So this stands for
Well, IDS is just a tool we use to help people, identify root cause, right? That's a key thing, really how to discuss it and really how to solve at the root so that you can, get rid of these problems for, forever, right?
Yeah.
But, when you strengthen this component, you just get really good at solving problems, right, at your company. And you look at a lot of companies out there, a lot of great companies, and even great companies have a problem and they're not really great at solving issues. So, being able to set them up and knock them down as they arise will really set companies apart, set them on a trajectory that is what they want.
Wow. Okay, then you get into which one do you want to go to?
Yeah, we'll go to process. And, process is, there's several, only, 6 to 10 maybe core processes in every company. But, strengthening that really creates consistency and scalability, right, throughout your organization, which is, really allows you to capitalize on the efficiency that
Yeah.
comes from that, as well as, and it results in greater profits.
And that's what you need. You need profits to sustain, for sure.
Any company has a process, right? We
Yeah.
have a proven process, right?
Yeah.
It's that we step people through. So there's a proven process for every company, right? We'll identify that up as part of the vision piece, but we bring it down and we really identify, what those processes are. What are the key processes, right?
Yep.
And then we get them documented. But trying to document 100% of those is kind of crazy. End up with a 700-page SOP manual that nobody ever reads.
Sure.
We have you focus, and we help you actually focus on the top 20% that really delivers 80% of the value.
Love it.
Yep.
And then the last piece.
Yeah. Finally, right? Traction. Right. So when we look at traction, this is just really about bringing your vision.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. Yeah. Bringing your vision, down to the street and, executing upon that vision just day in and day out. And Kary, it's ironic, but vision's at the top and traction's at the bottom, right? And it's just it's the adage goes, if you have vision without traction, is just hallucination.
Wow, that's good. That's good. So rocks are I heard that term a lot when I was in strategic coach, and I kept saying, what's everyone talking about, rocks?
Right.
And they said, oh, you got to study EOS. But what are rocks?
Yeah, so those are just 90-day key priorities for your company, right? And that is getting your company focused in this 90-day world throughout your organization, so that everybody has rocks. Everybody's got some measurables, and all those align to your 1-year plan, your 3-year picture, and ultimately your 10-year target. But so
good.
rocks quarterly, quarterly company.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so wow. So you started out with the paper route, first entrepreneur, went into the business world, had this ability where people began, truly asking you questions and for advice, and you're in the game, you're a generalist, you're a CXO, love that. And
I have to give credit. I do have to give credit to a friend of mine, Ray Belfridge. I think he's kind of coined the CXO piece.
I like that. That's good. And then you walk into conference in the fall and you say, hey, you had recently done an exit, you had freedom of time, and you say, God, what's next? And then boom, it becomes really clear that EOS is just like this master marriage here where it fits who you are. What have you been doing the last few months? And this is the exciting announcement. What have you been doing?
Yeah. Well, I think it's key that, in any business like this, it's really, it's about advocacy from people that know you, right? And people that have seen you operate and seen your successes. But I think more importantly, seen your challenges, how'd you overcome them? How'd you battle through those? How did you, et cetera. Yeah. And, I spent a lot of time since I've made the decision, which was basically coming out of the Igniting Souls conference. That was pretty much clarity. To move forward with the EOS, and I had a lot of in-depth under my belt at that point. But really just getting a company established to be licensed by EOS and being able to get the training, and so I was in Dallas with, you mentioned Gino was there last week, and Jill Young was with Jill Young.
Yeah,
I think I sent you a picture of Jill. And getting certified as a professional EOS implementer.
So good.
Putting clients on the roll.
I love it. I love it. So I literally said, hey, I want to be the first to interview you because I know you have already booked clients, and I'm not surprised. You have people reaching out saying, yeah, I totally want to connect. And so here's your email. Is this email working right now?
Nope, there it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if people say, hey, listen, I know Matt's nearly full already, but I want to have a chat. Something today resonated. I'm that guy that's not getting traction, or maybe I'm hallucinating, or I have people issues, or maybe somebody's just in a business and they say, I've heard a lot about EOS over the years. you're the type of guy that can sit down and basically no charge,
Right.
have a chat with them. What are you going to do in that chat?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and it really goes along with kind of my belief in help first, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I invest 90 minutes of my time, and we really just kind of go through 4 steps, right? We will talk a little bit about us, right? I give you some detail and a lot of history on EOS, right? And I also give you some additional background, you know, about me, right? And that's really just so I'm not out there practicing, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, we'll kind of flip the tables and talk about you, right? Because I really want to understand, where you've been, where you're at, and where you're going.
Love it.
Third part of that 90 minutes is I'm just going to jump into all EOS. I really hit you with a fire hose of things that's really just going through the tools,
Yeah.
going into taking a second pass around that model and just really getting in depth with the tools and the strength of those tools and what that means, in getting more out of your business of what you want.
Yep.
And, frankly, number 4, it's just kind of going through our proven process. We talked about that earlier, right? Our proven process and, exactly how I work with my clients and their leadership teams to implement EOS into their companies. So
love it.
I think I found, it just at 90 minutes, what's amazing is, it's really the fastest way to kind of exchange information and, ultimately understand if there's a fit, right? If there's a good fit between two.
I'll tell you what, I didn't know you as an EOS implementer 3 years ago. But I did meet somebody named Jill back then, and having that 90 minutes with her, I knew in those 90 minutes, I thought what she's saying and the clarity that they have and what I don't have. And she asked this question, Matt. She said, and it hurt. I'm not going to lie. She said, are you ready for your business to grow up? I was like, dang.
Right.
But that was it. And she nailed it. And I feel like there's people watching this right now that maybe their business isn't grown up. And that's not a slam. It just means that you are working probably a ton of time. It's called sideways energy.
Right.
But you're not seeing, like you said, I love it, traction. You're not feeling that traction. So
right.
So
well,
Matt,
there's a difference, Kary. We're all great at working in our business, right?
Ah.
Right. But being able to take the time and prioritize that to get out and really work on your business. And that's what we kind of come in and help facilitate. So we're far from a consultant. We're not going to come in and just give you all the answers. We're really going to come in as a teacher, facilitator, and coach.
Yeah. So good.
I know we're backing up to some lines, but I just wanted to say, I appreciate this, but, EOS is really a great thing. I'm glad you gave me some time to kind of walk through that, but I'd love to, help first, right, and provide value. But I'd love to, if anybody, for you and the listeners out there, and your tribe and igniting souls, right, happy to give them a couple of key tools that even if they don't use me and so forth, just implement these tools. They'll transform your business. But I think put my email up there. If they want to shoot me an email, I'm happy to send them out. So hopefully that's value from today, right?
Oh, it's very valuable. And I hire smart people. I look at my life, and I'll tell you what, here, we'll end with the funny story.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is, you can't even make this up. The garbage disposal goes out on Friday. It starts smoking. And I say, oh, I'm going to give it a shot. I'll fix the garbage disposal. You know where this is going, Matt? A lot of people say, I'll just fix my small business. My business isn't working, but I'll just fix it. And sure enough, I go to the hardware store twice. And then I bring home finally the right garbage disposal. I barely touch the pipe, and oh my gosh, man, water everywhere. I quickly had to shut off the water, and I was smart enough to go call Ryco Plumbing and say, look, I know you're going to charge me emergency rates because it's Saturday at 5 p.m., but we need this thing fixed. 20-year-old comes over in 1 hour, fixes everything, and installs the new thing. Matt, that's the price of getting an expert. And I want to tell people, in your business, if you're breaking pipes, if you're breaking systems, if you realize I am in over my head, you can continue to waste time and money, or you can book a call with Matt.
Right.
And I would just say that it's you're going to save time, money, water damage, and headache in your business. What do you think, Matt? That was unplanned. That's a good
That's a
quote.
great story. And I could have told you as soon as you said you were trying to work on a disposal, I could tell you where that was going. So, but hey, thanks for today. And Kary,
Yeah.
your friendship's super important, but I also really appreciate your advocacy.
Oh yeah, no problem. Well, I believe in you, and I
Yeah, thank
believe
you.
in EOS, and therefore I was like, hey man, I want to bring you on. So
Yeah.
folks, reach out to Matt and start a chat and get some help. All right. Thanks for
That's
being
great.
here today.
Yeah. Thanks, Kary. Appreciate it.
No
Have a great
problem.
day.